What if learning just one new word tonight could quietly reshape the way your dreams unfold? Welcome to Relaxing Facts Studio, where curiosity slows down and simple ideas reveal surprising depth. In this calm, documentary-style journey, we explore how language gently interacts with memory, imagination, and the rhythms of your mind during sleep. No hype, no pressure, just thoughtful insights designed to help you unwind while learning something meaningful. So settle in, take a slow breath, and let your mind wander as we uncover how even the smallest shift in vocabulary might open the door to an entirely new inner world. Learning a new language can quietly begin to change your dreams earlier than most people expect. Not after fluency, but sometimes after just a few days of exposure. A learner might go to sleep after repeating a few unfamiliar words, then find themselves in a simple dream, a conversation, a street, a passing moment, where one of those words appears briefly, almost out of place, yet strangely understandable. You might notice something here. In the dream, there is no effort to translate. The word simply exists inside the scene, as if the brain is testing it in a natural setting. A student once described hearing a single foreign word in a dream cafe, responding to it correctly, then waking up unsure how it made sense so quickly. This begins to connect with what happens during REM sleep. The brain is not replaying the day like a recording. It is reorganizing fragments, sounds, meanings, emotions, and placing them into new contexts. That's why dreams during language learning often feel less stable. A familiar place may shift shape. A conversation may change direction without warning. Something subtle happens as vocabulary grows. Dreams may start mixing languages in the same sentence, without confusion inside the dream itself. The mind allows both systems to coexist temporarily, even if waking understanding is still developing. Over time, a pattern can emerge. Early dreams feel uncertain, fragmented. Later ones include short moments where understanding feels immediate, almost automatic, not because the language is fully learned, but because the brain has started building connections strong enough to simulate fluency, just for a few quiet seconds during sleep. Learning a new word begins as a weak signal in the brain, something temporary that can fade within hours if it isn't used again. The first time you hear a word, your brain separates it into parts: sound, structure, and possible meaning, but these parts are not fully connected yet. That's why new vocabulary often feels unstable at first, like something you recognize but cannot hold. Then repetition begins to change that. Each time the word is heard or spoken, the same neural pattern activates again. A learner studying a simple word might see it in an app, hear it in a video, then say it out loud later that day. These repeated encounters are not identical, but they point to the same connection. Gradually, the brain starts reinforcing that path, making it easier to access. You might notice a shift at some point. Instead of recalling the translation, the word starts linking directly to an image or idea. For example, hearing a foreign word for door may begin to trigger a clear mental picture without passing through your native language first. That's a sign the connection is becoming more efficient. This process involves multiple systems working together. Sound activates auditory regions, meaning engages language centers, and imagery brings in visual areas. The brain is not storing a word in one place, it's building a network around it. Over time, these networks become faster and automatic. What once required effort becomes immediate recognition, as if the word has quietly moved from something learned into something known. Repeating foreign words often creates a steady mental rhythm that feels different from normal thinking. At first, attention is divided, trying to remember the word, pronounce it correctly, and avoid mistakes. But after several repetitions, something begins to shift. The effort reduces, and the focus narrows into a single continuous action. A learner practicing a short phrase might repeat it slowly while sitting in a quiet room. After a few minutes, the words begin to flow more evenly. The mind is no longer jumping between tasks. It stays with the sound, following it from beginning to end each time. This creates a sense of stability, as if attention has settled into a fixed track. There's a physical layer to this as well. Speaking in a controlled, repeated way naturally affects breathing. A short inhale before the phrase, then a longer, steady exhale while speaking. Over time, this pattern becomes consistent without conscious control. The rhythm of language starts guiding the rhythm of the body. You might notice how distractions become less intrusive during this process, not because they disappear, but because attention is already occupied. The repetition leaves less room for unrelated thoughts to take over. This is where language practice begins to resemble meditation, not in intention, but in structure. A repeated sound, a steady focus, minimal variation. The mind doesn't need to search for what comes next, it already knows. As a result, the experience feels calm, not because the words are meaningful yet, but because the process itself is predictable and continuous.
Language begins to shape thought in ways that are easy to overlook at first, not by changing what you think, but by influencing how thoughts are organized before they are expressed. A simple idea, like describing an event, may follow a different internal structure depending on the language being used. For example, a learner might notice that in one language, they naturally focus on the action first, while in another, they pay more attention to time or context. This shift doesn't feel forced. It happens gradually as repeated sentence patterns become familiar. A more noticeable change appears when vocabulary expands. Having more words for describing something creates more ways to notice it. A person who learns several terms for subtle emotional states may begin to recognize those differences more clearly in daily life. The experience itself hasn't changed, but the ability to define it has. There's a moment many learners recognize. At first, every thought passes through translation. You think in one language, then convert it. But after enough exposure, that step begins to fade. A situation appears, and the new language responds directly, without waiting for conversion. A learner once described walking into a store abroad and reacting internally in the new language without realizing it. The thought felt immediate, almost automatic. Only later did they notice the shift. This is where mental flexibility begins to grow. Different languages offer different ways to connect ideas, and the brain starts moving between them more freely. Over time, thinking feels less fixed, more adaptable, as if the mind has learned more than one path to reach the same understanding.
As this episode comes to a close, take a moment to let these ideas settle quietly in your mind. Thank you for spending this time here with Relaxing Facts Studio and being part of this calm space of exploration and learning. If you're new here, consider subscribing so you don't miss future documentary-style journeys like this. If you found value in today's topic, sharing it on your social media helps this work reach others who may enjoy it as well. Liking the video also supports its visibility. And if you have thoughts or reflections, leave a comment below. Your perspective truly matters and helps shape future episodes. Your support is essential for the growth and continuation of this channel.